Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Dr. Mitchell Pleasure. Dr. Mitchell, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, blessed, black, and highly favored. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Mrs. Dr. Mitchell. Firstly, you are an author. You are also an educator. You also have other achievements you've done. You're also a dancer and stuff like that. Can you please, Dr. Mitchell, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, Dr. Mitchell?
Sure. Yes. So for people who can't see me, I am a black cisgender female lover of life, lover of humanity, lover of the planet, lover of animals, and I get to do a lot of work in the world that is centered on liberation. So I founded a company called Living for Liberation, and I'm the director of liberation at the High Tech High Graduate School of Education. So all of what I do really supports the liberation of self, systems, and society in some way, shape, or form. I really enjoy helping people get free.
And honestly speaking, I'm also very happy that you're really, really proud to be a black person. Many people they used to shadow themselves to just try to avoid that. But I'm so happy to also speak with my fellow person in the United States. Thank you so much, Mrs. Dr. Mitchell. And with your personal background, I do not know if you've think about or you've thought on writing a book, or have you written any book, Dr. Mitchell?
Yes, I wrote a book called Liberate Pocket-Sized Paradigms for Liberatory Learning, and it is essentially a what, why, how guide for educators who want to liberate their classrooms in a number of different ways. So, in each chapter, it supports the educator to, for example, liberate their consciousness, liberate their curriculum, liberate their communication so that they are meeting the needs of the young people in their culturally diverse and linguistically diverse classroom. And I'm proud to say that I've sold over 6,000 copies of this self-published book and counting. Someone just placed an order this past week. So I'm really excited to know that it is supporting educators to just be more culturally responsive, especially in our diverse society, especially in the United States, but I think it's applicable in all countries.
Very, very important. And I'm also glad it's just, going. We hope it gets to 10,000, 50,000 sales. Honestly speaking, just continue to blow up. Thank you so much,
Thank,
Dr. Mitchell.
thank you.
And honestly speaking, oppression is one of the most important things that one can experience in a society. Oppression brings someone down. If someone doesn't understand, oppression is very, 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 very powerful. Honestly speaking, it could make someone feel like life is worthless. So I would like
Mm.
to know how you personally realized that you were experiencing it, because some people might not even know that is what they're experiencing. But when do you feel like you were already you felt like it's like I'm experiencing internalized oppression, Dr. Mitchell?
That's such a great question. And I'll say that as I was experiencing it, because I hadn't learned the term yet, I didn't really know what it was. So it wasn't until I was in my doctoral program and we had a course called Culturally Proficient Leadership. And in that course, we were reading this book called Courageous Conversations About Race, or it was called Courageous Conversations, and it was by Glenn Singleton. And in that book, there's this segment where he is explaining internalized oppression, which is essentially when a person accepts and internalizes harmful stereotypes and prejudices about their own group. And it can occur in many forms: racism, sexism, ableism, homophobia. And for me, it was internalized racism. And once I learned that term, it was like, oh my gosh, that is what was experiencing as a young person, because I definitely grew up not loving myself, not loving my race, and wanting to belong. And it had to do with I went to predominantly white schools in elementary, and I would say the schooling, the media messaging, all kinds of things contributed to me feeling like being white was better, right? And the more white adjacent you are, the better, right? So even in this school where my peers did not look like me, I would do everything in my power to try to fit in, right? Because I really wanted to experience belonging. So I would change the way I talk. I, laugh, act, all of that because every message that I was getting in the world was like, black ain't it, right? That's not something you want to be. And I would say that was kind of the beginning of this feeling of not loving myself or my race in the ways that, it took me decades to unlearn all of that. And as a result of that, it's important for me now in my work to support educators so that they are not making the same mistakes that my educators did, or family did, and actually nourishing the cultural identity and self love and appreciation of all our identity markers, all of our parts. So that's a really short description of what I experienced when I was younger.
When you were younger, honestly
Mhm.
speaking, that was not a very, very easy one. Even I myself, that I'm here, I'm in another country, I'm in my normal country. I know how it is, I do a lot of podcasts, so I know how it is. So I used to feel it like, how would these people be feeling around that place? I know how it is. So it's definitely not a easy one, Dr. Michelle. I do not believe that it's really heavy, but I thank God that you are now using that aspect to make educators to also understand how they can do it more better. I think that is a very great power on you, Dr. Mitchell, and I'm so glad you are doing that. Honestly speaking,
Thank you.
so glad for
Thank
that.
you.
And I would also like to know, the audience would like to know how you definitely unlearn this internalized belief and oppression, because it is a very massive one. Honestly speaking, it's a way. It's way someone down. Honestly speaking, because almost everybody there, probably you guys might even be few that are of different, background. So it's not going to be easy to do that. How do you try to unlearn it? What challenges do you feel like you had to face before you can unlearn this internalized belief, Dr. Michelle?
Yeah, so I would say that the unlearning of it, the conscious unlearning of it really happened when I became a teacher. And I started teaching, and I share this a lot in my keynote speakings. I do a lot of keynotes, and there's a part of my keynote where I actually talk about this, that when I became a teacher at High Tech High, it played this pivotal role in my own liberation. I was 27. I was started teaching US history and American literature. And I started to learn so much more about my own cultural identity because at that school, it's a project-based learning environment and we design our own curriculum. So I was doing a ton of research to design my units and I just started learning so much more. I learned that there was more to Black history than just slavery and civil rights, right? That there were all these things that happened before, during and after. I learned that Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and Martin Luther King Jr. were not these isolated instances of Black brilliance. There were so many more that I just had not been taught about or exposed to, not only in my school, but even my family, because my family, they were going through a lot of different things. My dad was a drug addict, but then he got off drugs. And anyway, they weren't really focused on, hey, we need to foster Michelle's cultural identity and her love of Blackness, because they were just dealing with trying to stay afloat for the most part. So it wasn't until my learning was really fully in my own hands that I started to get exposed to so much more. And then I started integrating the accomplishments of Black and Brown people throughout history, including them in my curriculum. And that was really to me what helped the most was just when I became a teacher and started designing curriculum. And then I wanted to make sure that my curriculum was representative and reflective of the young people that I was teaching, right? Because I didn't want them. It's such a painful thing to go through, not loving yourself for any reason, right? Whether it's internalized homophobia, if it's internalized sexism, because you're with yourself all the time. It's like one thing if other people don't like you, you don't have to be around those people. But when you don't like yourself and you're
Yeah.
around yourself all the time, it's really painful. And so I'm grateful that I was able to, unlearn all of that, move out of that pain. And so that's why it's really important for me to support others, to do the same. And then I think you also asked about the challenging aspects,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, I think one of the most challenging aspects of overcoming internalized oppression is that media, society, even friends and family contribute to it, right? I even had family members saying like, "Oh, you talk white," or you um they just had different expectations, and then it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not black enough for my family. I am not white enough for this school like that I'm in. Where do I fit? Where do I belong? And so when you think about the four eyes of oppression, which I'm sure you may have heard of, but I'll just explain the four eyes of oppression. There's ideological oppression, right, which is at the belief level. There's institutional oppression, which is like at the policy and processes level. And then there's interpersonal oppression, that's what we do to one another. And then that fourth eye is internalized oppression. And when those other three eyes have done all their work, the ultimate goal of them is to get to internalized oppression, because once you're oppressing yourself, the other ones, you don't even need them anymore. Like they did their job, and now you are the one who are oppressing yourself. So the challenge is that there's so many messages from so many different mediums that want us to feel not great about ourselves. I heard Les Brown say one time that the tools to destroy someone's sense of self are more powerful right now, and they're more plentiful. So it takes so much more effort to create that like self-love, appreciation, um, all of that to be able to break free from internalized oppression, at least in my experience.
It's not easy. It's definitely heavy, Dr. Mitchell. I'm also glad that you're using this experience to be a teacher to also educate others, and also written books that has also really helped in those situations. I cannot relate, but my own country where we are almost, but that's why I can't really relate. But I know it will be a very, very tough one, honestly speaking.
Mm.
So I would like to also dive to the point of a lot of black students will also be facing this situation today, whether I would like it or not. They could be facing it. We do not know. How do you think educators can also, help? I know you've been doing a lot of things in that, but how do you feel like, or what do you think also one can also do that could also improve those ones that could be feeling that oppression that you faced when you were young? And what strategies do you used to do? Because I do not, maybe you experience a point whereby you want to go back to that pattern again. That pattern will want to show up again. I do not know, maybe it's usually happened to you now. You are now grown and stuff like that. But how do you think you, what strategies or practices do you think you do to construct that harmful belief, that thing to come back? How do you try your best to do it to not come back again of yourself, Dr. Michelle?
Okay, I'll answer your first question first about educators, and then
Yes.
I'll go into the strategies for self. So, when I think about what educators can do, the three things that come to mind are representation. So, when they're thinking about their curriculum and their teaching pedagogy, what is present? Because oftentimes you'll have educators who only have a very Eurocentric curriculum that is not inclusive of the global majority. So, first, being able to make sure your curriculum is diverse and it is including the global majority and has more accurate histories, more complete histories that they're sharing, and not just in history classrooms. This goes for all subject areas, because Black and Brown people have been a part of mathematics, science, all kinds of things, right? So representation, but representation isn't enough. So it's not just to have like, oh, we have posters of Black and Brown people on the wall. There it is. That's enough. There has to be actual true integration of those stories, of those counter narratives. Some people call them counter narratives. I call them truth narratives, because they're, like I said, more accurate reflection of what is true in history and in present day. So actually integration of that, and then celebration. There are so many times when Black and Brown people learn about ourselves, especially as a young person, and it's always in these instances of trial and turmoil and injustice, and it makes you feel like, well, it's kind of awful to be this particular race because all these horrible things happen to them. And it makes white students feel like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not that race, because like they have all these awful things happen to them. And so it's really important that there is a celebration of who we are. So whether that is stories of resilience or stories of just joy and genius that is present in Black and Brown communities. How is that celebrated and integrated in the classroom? I think that's really important. And then in terms of what helped me personally to deconstruct harmful beliefs about myself, I mean, it all centered on learning and exposure. So whether that was reading, documentaries, filling my mind with and my spirit with knowledge, accurate history, more complete history. There's actually one way that was really small but powerful was I started reading Essence magazine. Well, they had an online version, and I would get into my feed. And so every morning, I'm seeing stories and images of Black brilliance and Black beauty. And that it seems so simple, but just that exposure and like learning and seeing beautiful Black faces of all hues was helpful in me falling in love with my own Blackness. And now I love it because I can see a Black person of any shade, anywhere, of any size. It does not matter if they're societally beautiful or not. Like they are beautiful to me. And there was a time when I was younger, when I was deep in the sunken place, to, borrow from the movie Get Out. I was so in the sunken place that I could not only could I not see my own beauty, I could not see beauty in our people. And so I'm so grateful to be out of that sunken place, and just every interaction that I have with Black people is just amazing, just to be able to honor the brilliance and beauty of them. And so, and that's, I came out of this, I would say it was like in my 30s is when I was fully out of my, I don't know if you're ever fully, because, everything is not linear and sometimes you get pushed back. But the past couple decades, though, it's just been awesome to love who I am and to love my people. I hope that makes sense.
That's really makes sense because that's dive everything back to energy. You are generating those energy. You are making those energy to come out so that you'll be able to see life as one. You are able to going to see life as a life that's just live your best and just do what you know is the best. That could just benefit you and see how things goes in the coming future. So that energy continues to emerge. And that's what every single people, every whether one is in any race or black or any race, anywhere person is. You have to just live life like it's just the last. Just one should just try to be happy, to try to be energetic. I know it's not easy. It's not easy, but that energy has to come out so that one can live the life he or she is expecting to live. And I'm also definitely happy that you are trying to bring this thing out, and also educating other people to know how they could also, caution themselves. Some might not know that they are, doing stuff like that, but to give them that these are the things that could, one could do that could definitely help is something that really, really impact. This is a very, very big topic, but we hope that in the coming future, better things and better healing will come to people to see everybody as one, no matter whether one is whether black or Hispanic or Asian. Everybody is just united, and everybody can live life to the fullest. We hope we get to that point. We are not yet there. We hope we get to that point in the coming future.
Exactly.
Dr. Mitchell, there was a question I normally ask during the end of the show. I know our in the past, there are a lot of things that happen, but there are still many great things that happened during our forefathers' time. Beautiful things. I remember you said you used to check a lot of pictures. I know you'll be checking a lot of pictures of people who have lived during that time too, who have done great things. So a lot of things are missing in our time today. If we check our time now, we lack a lot of community. Technology has taken a lot of things. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, Dr. Mitchell, what do you think that one will be, Dr. Mitchell?
If we're thinking about my own ancestors, there's a few things. One is joy. I think what I love about our people is, regardless of what has happened to us or been forced upon us or what we've had to experience, we maintain our joy. Like the way we laugh, the way we dance, the way we celebrate the smallest thing. And it's because it's like when you're in situations, particularly like enslavement or any forms of oppression, you have to hold on to something to keep you going. Like you can't, otherwise you would just wilt and die because your spirit has been murdered, even if your body hasn't been murdered. And so our ability to self-source and collectively source joy in the midst of this like BS that is even currently happening in our country right now or in this country, um, to be able to access that and spread that, I just think that is an extremely unique quality that I love. I would love it if we brought back more of it. I know people in my community, we center on it. Even whenever I'm giving workshops or keynotes or anything, it is always, always, always infused with joy and humor and movement and breath, right? Because those are the things like we do have agency and control over, right? There's a lot of things in this world that we don't, but accessing our joy and sharing it with other people, we have agency over that. So that's definitely what comes to mind. And I I know you didn't ask this, but I do want to share something about the fact that for anyone out there who is experiencing internalized oppression or has experienced it and you feel like, okay, I'm out of it, and then you might resurface those things might resurface some of those old beliefs or some
Mm,
trigger might happen. It's just bound to happen because as I mentioned before, like healing is not linear, it's cyclical. And it's bound to happen in our current times because we're going through legitimate reversals in terms of our freedoms right now being taken away. But I usually try to follow, I have a framework that's called the Human Experience GPS, and it's all about how to notice, name, and navigate whatever is happening. And so if a thought comes up, or a couple years ago, I had a thought come up that was definitely internalized misogyny. And I had the thought, and I was judgmental about the way these women were dressed at this event and made assumptions about why they were at this event. And then I was like, where is that coming from? Because I noticed that I had this thought that was not in alignment with how I want to be in the world. And I noticed it and then I named it. I was like, oh, that's internalized misogyny. That came from these messages that I've heard about, like, if women dress like this is what they're after. That is not true. These women are at this financial conference, just like I'm at this financial conference. Doesn't matter how they're dressed. They're here to get the same information that I'm here to get. And so in those moments, like you can recognize like what you're experiencing, notice it, name it, and then you decide to navigate it. And for me, my navigation was exploring where did this come from? And I want to interrupt this thought because it's not accurate, right? And so when we are having those times when it resurfaces, notice it, right? You don't need to resist it. Like the saying goes, what you resist persists. Like notice that it's there, name it for what it is, and then decide how you want to navigate it, whether that's talking back to that thought, whether that's movement, whatever it is that you need to do. Because it can creep up. And it used to be like when I would do public speaking, in the beginning, back when I was still suffering from a deep internalized impression, I thought like, oh, my hair has to be straight, for example. Like the people are not going to understand my message or listen to me in these audiences that are mixed audiences or mostly white audiences. So they'll receive it better if my hair is natural and if I'm dressed like this and if I talk like this, right? And I'm so grateful that now I'm in a space where they're going to get this message in the package that I want to deliver it in. So if I want to rock braids, they're going to get braids. If I want to rock my naturally curly hair, that's what they're going to get. If I want to wear the most wild and loud, colorful blazer with sneakers, that's what they're going to get. I'm no longer in a place where I am prioritizing other people's comfort over my own identity and who I am, right? And so in some spaces, if they want to say, I act or talk too black. In some space, they want to say I act and talk too white. I am me and I am okay with that. And that is, it's such a freeing because I was, for a long time, I was not okay with who I was, but I love who I am. I know that I'm like Michelle Obama says, that we're at forever becoming. And I just try to nurture the relationship that I have with myself and experience belonging within myself. Because once I belong to myself, then I can belong anywhere, right? I no longer wait for other people's permission for me to belong. Like that's not happening anymore. Like I belong where I say I belong, and most importantly, I belong to myself, and I'm a child of God, and I belong to God. So that's where I'm at now. You didn't ask that, but I went there. So go ahead, Timmy.
I'm so glad I even went there because that shows that energy is very important. A lot of people just feel like I need to dress this way to fit to this place. I need to dress this way to fit to this position. But we have to know that we have to decide whatever we want to, do, probably if it's in a positive way or any way that we believe that we are comfortable. We have to start to build that because that shows that we are really healing and we are really as in we're really giving ourselves that respect that we need. That is really, really powerful. And energy will really, really do that. When someone is energized, that will definitely come. Is when someone is facing, like as you said, during that time, that operation, I think that could cause, when that operation is there, that could cause a situation whereby I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way. But when that energy starts to emerge, then that will definitely work. So this is an inspiration to all the listeners. Everybody needs to just try their best to know what works and what is the best for them. They don't need to look at other people on. They've done theirs. What works for you and how can you build that? No matter how you're, no matter how you just make sure that you are passing the message. Most of the time, is the message that the people need. So that is what really matters. If one is there, just know that is the message you want to listen. That's all. Life is very, very beautiful. We don't need to give ourselves this burden. Life is short. Like my own country, they'll say life is very short. Let's just leave it and let's just know what happens in the coming future. Honestly speaking. And I also completely agree with you with the energy. Energy is very important. During our old father time, they have energy. Mrs. Dr. Mitchell, in our place here, they see energy. Oh. We still have the energy. That's what I would recommend. Probably if you're opportune in the coming future to come to Africa. Africa is energized, but the energy is here. Honestly speaking, we have energy. Energy is here, but we just hope everything just go. Honestly speaking, so it's still here, but we hope that it comes more and it's also
Hmm.
regain itself in that place in the coming future. I also want to sincerely thank you. This is a very, very important conversation. It's a very inspiring one, and it's a way to make people understand that these things is happening, and this is how one can overcome and also get through it. You got through it, Dr. Michelle, and that's just the love of life. You're not using it to impact other people. You've done your part, and people are proud of it. I'm also proud of it as a person. So thank you so much, Dr. Michelle.
Thank you, Timmy. I appreciate that. Yes, I've only been to Kenya and South Africa, so I need to. There are a lot more places I want to explore.
Oh, I'm so glad you've been to Africa. I didn't know. Okay, yeah, South Africa is still great places. So that's beautiful. More places will be great, but I think that those two places are, in fact, you've made it already. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Timmy. Take care.